What's going on, guys? Alright, so I've been in business for quite a while. And when you're dealing with small business people, like I'm a Pisces, so we are very observant. We try to give good advice, sound advice, but not everybody wants it. And that's people's ego and people's clout will get in the way. And I run into this a lot. And it comes from discipline. And if I look at discipline, for me, it's about empire building. So when you're trying to build an empire, you definitely want good people around you. You know, I'm one of those people that I build in a completely different way. And it's just me. It's old school mixed with new age. Whatever you know from the past doesn't exist today in business. Whatever happened years ago doesn't exist today. You have to be able to adapt and take the good things from the old school and implement them into the new school age. And when you're trying to get a new age school of learning, it's the higher complex thought. It's your action. It's your perspective. It's your inner. You have to look inside you and see how you're going to express and how you're going to make that come out in other people. So your interpretation of all the different elements and what's happening in the moment really affect you, and people are watching you very close. And I think business owners need to look at that, you know, because you're going to either detour people to be part of your business in the future, or you're going to bring more people in. You know, teaching the elements, training 5 elements, space, water, fire, air, earth, to actually go through and implement those into your business, you know, to focus on resilience training, you know, in a humble, ethical, logical way. For me, that's the sound environment for success. Success of understanding one's own self, one's own potential. And once again, you know, these are just my thoughts. This is my opinion. Take it, leave it. If it resonates, if it helps. And it's that inspirational motivation towards many great skills, towards many great experiences. To be created by the individual is a time investment, time willing by the individual. Both the one training, both the one learning, and the teacher always needs to be a learner as well. And there's plenty of time to learn, so take the time to learn, because once you have to teach, you don't always have the time to learn when you have to teach. To invest in a new craft, or if you invest in a new craft and alter your perspective, the alter adapts an old craft into a new age craft is relearning your old craft in a new light. So it's about being a light worker. It's about shining light on situations, shining positivity on situations. And to me, that's being an alpha leader. It doesn't matter about, you know, for me, it wasn't about the front of the house or the back of the house. It was the HOH. It was being the heart of the house. It was about being that alpha, being able to go on any side and be able to adapt and learn and teach and help. As an alpha leader, you have to know, like, fear is how much, and love is how much. And love or fear, the pursuit to take a chance. You know, you have to take a chance and fail at both of those in life. I mean, you have to know when to pack them away, when to bring them out. And as a leader, you need to know when to show compassion and, you know, for a situation, have empathy, but then there's a difference between empathy and sympathy. You know, to serve my talents, to provide positive effects, the effects that grow become an effect of emotion, to open the mind, you know, of yourself and the people around you. You have to let your emotion be limitless. You have to be vulnerable. You have to make yourself vulnerable. You have to allow yourself to be a vulnerable leader to get people to open up and tell you what's really going down. If you let emotion be limitless, do not be trapped by ego and pride. And ego and pride kill so many small businesses. You know, the number one thing is tell the truth. The truth, and it may hurt the ones you love. To hear what they don't want to admit. Those affections of infliction. And that is a big key. You know, when you're talking truth, that inflicts people so bad on their ego and pride that then they don't want to listen to anything you have to say. And they always want to be right, so then there's no getting anywhere. And that's the trap. Life weights us all down, So hope and false dreaming, faith and action towards a dream. Release suffering inside you with every step you take. And be an interesting person. Be someone that people want to come and talk to you. People want to come for advice to. Interesting people interested in what they are doing. You want people that like the same craft as you, that are interested in learning, that want to learn, are open to that can adapt as well. They're fun to watch, the passion flow in their creative process, doing what they love. You want someone to work for you that actually enjoys coming to work. And then those people that are alpha leaders, people watch them, and by observing them, sometimes their actions speak louder than words, and the people around them will catch on to things so much faster. For me, it was a flat top grill, half set at 240 degrees to 260, and the other half was set at 400. The 240 to 260 degree flat top was for your eggs. The art, the beauty in an omelet, the oil, butter, cracking your eggs, whip them, pour and spread while swapping your spats out. Knowing how to steam your vegetables, the colors, tomatoes, peppers, onions, spinach, to add sausage, bacon, chorizo, American, Swiss cheese, blue cheese, provolone. The endless creations, complex capabilities in the art of testing your own skill, to test your own ability to be able to create something new on the fly, or have, I loved having a menu, but I loved the people that slaughtered the menu and would say, oh, can you subtract that, can you add that, and it would piss waitresses off. And I loved it, because as a cook, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the challenge, because it was out of my norm, and it was great to create something that was what someone wanted. The adaptation to create a test. Someone else thought, created, envisioned. Will my performance meet the vision they ordered? Saw it becoming, when they see it in time and they ordered it, is it what they thought it was going to be when it came to the table? Was it worth their expectation that they set their time on to, and was it worth their time to wait for it? You want to create something that people, when they get it, they're like, yeah, that was well worth what I came for. Currency, the effect of time. It wasn't the wage. In our moments of wealth, fame, and completion, the effect you have on others. And as a cook, in that moment, you're creating something and adapting, and when you love your craft, you're creating something that people enjoy, and it was about that connection. You're creating something that people were expecting something to come out good. You created something that came out good, and for neither one of you, it was about the money, but it was about their time waiting, your time cooking it, and then that time they get to enjoy it. So, that made me a very rich person. It was never the money, it was the craft. It was my art and skill. Imagination to manufacture scenarios, the building foundation, the process, to unload, rotate the stock, to keep quality, pride, ego, reputation 100% on your name. That's your reputation as that person. It's not about anybody next year. It's not about anybody at the end of the day. It's about you keeping your reputation intact, because then you reflect that business. And then people are coming back in that business because they know, hey, that cook's working, we're going to order this. Hey, that cook's working, we're going to order this. Your reputation and name means a lot. And then that's your pride and ego, because, and if you mess up, you want the customer, you want someone to tell you, hey, you this is getting messed up, we need to fix this. And you got to be able to put that pride and ego to the side. And that's why I love cooking. I've been in many positions inside the industry, but in the industry, being on the front lines, being in the thick of the situations, that was my favorite part. So intentions to unpack, explore, prepare, create, cutting a 50-pound bag of onions, 2 cases of green peppers, 3 cases of ham, dice and sliced tomatoes, blanch bacon, make dry mixes, make wet mixes, combine, make the pancake mix, waffle mix, French toast mix, slack your breads, buns, prepare the glazes, as a cook, we scorch some pans, man. Because you get sidetracked, you're like, hey, we're gonna let that burn. We're just leaving it. We'll make a new one, but right now we got priority over here, and priorities take a certain shape over other things. And as cooks, we have the most pity on our own dishwashers. You know, the ones with the biggest hearts, those Pisces in the kitchen. You know, we would pity them, so we buy them breakfast. We would help them out. We'd go back there and unload some racks of dishes. We would help out and pitch in so many facets of the business and the industry coming off our cook's line, because we know what it's like. We started from the bottom, we came up, and we hit a point where we liked that position where we were. You know, so I think not enough businesses buy their employees a meal, or like show some compassion for, hey, we're all human, we all need to eat. Like, don't be greedy in this life, you know. And I learned a lot just boiling potatoes, you know, sitting back there and skinning the potatoes and peeling them, you know, when they cool, and you slack them, so that way you can slice them and dice them. You know, getting to know the people around you, just the chit chat and just the bullshitting, just the small talk makes a huge amount of difference in life. You know, it lets people know, and sometimes it's telling a story on yourself, or saying, hey, I fucked up here once I did this too. You know, we all go through these growing pains inside of learning. The use of the slicer, the maintaining of that slicer, you know, set that steam well, knowing your proper temperatures, you know, how sensitive a product is to a temperature. You can throw 3 products in one steam well to set at the same thing, but all 3 products might be a different set and a different procedure, as far as like, you can throw them all in the same steam well at the same temp, but one might need to be 5-10 degrees difference so it doesn't break. You have to know where in your job that temperature sensitive product is holding. A job in just stirring it. You can't just put something in a steam well and leave it. You gotta, like, hey, every 10 minutes when you walk by it, you have nothing to do. If you're clean, go wash your hands, come back by, stir that stuff up, man. You have to be able to mix it up, and the fluidity and maintaining stuff. You know, one of the things too, you know, not all grills are the same. Sometimes the grills and the elements are going to be different. Sometimes you might have to set a grill at one side at 375 degrees, and sometimes you might have to set another side at 350 degrees. And I had many toast grills that were like this, because sometimes you're cooking pancakes, sometimes you're cooking toast, sometimes you're cooking home fries. And when you're doing different things like that, you have to set your grills according to the temperature. So, and you don't want to burn your toast. Maybe you're setting something at 325, so when your home fries are cooking at 375 to 400 degrees, that way, when you're cooking at 375 to 400 degrees on one side, and it's set at 325 degrees on the other side. What's up, brother?
Hey, I get with you. Okay.
All right, sounds good, buddy. So on one side, you might have 375 degrees set, but you have to take and be able to adapt and adjust. You have to be able to take and know that, hey, we want this all to time out perfectly. So for everything to time out perfectly, you're going to have to take and put in a position like, we're going to have to cook these for a while, so we need this at a little bit higher temperature, but you don't want it too hot where it's going to scorch something. And when you're doing this, you have to make sure that those elements aren't glitching. Sometimes they'll take off and they'll start running. You got to, like, make sure you're flipping everything, make sure you're checking on everything, because you don't want anything to scorch. You got to keep that close eye, that third eye consciousness. And for me, that's protecting intentions of success. You know, that's what it's meant to be. You know, you got to protect your own investment. You got to protect that reputation as a cook, that you're a good cook, or you're a good hand, you're a good serve. You know, it's how can I serve you? What can I do for you? It's that hospitality aspect in this whole game of business and the industry, that enjoyment in the process. Enjoy what you do. Enjoy being good to help, you know, anyone, someone else's dream to be successful. But if that person isn't going to take and realize your craft and how good you are at your craft, and that you're really trying to help them be successful because their pride and egos get in the way, then it doesn't matter how much you help someone. they're not gonna, you're gonna have to let them falter. You're gonna have to let them go through fails, and you're gonna have to let them like go through a time where they're gonna have to stumble for a minute until they put their pride and ego to the side, and then they actually want that help. You know, and I became an interest to watch, you know, because I learned how to become an asset to a company. You know, you don't want to be someone dragging a company down. You want to become an asset to a company. And that's the way I was looking down the road. And, you know, I always look to the future. How can I be an asset? And if I run out where, hey, I top out my career and I don't feel like I'm that number one asset, or I can't be a number two asset to the number one, or number three asset to the number two person in that slot, hey, maybe it's time I know when to pack my own bags and move on down the road to the next industry, the next business, the next whatever I'm doing in my life. You know, and when I left, you know, you know, you got to stay curious. You can't be bound to a structure in your own mind. You can't be bound to one place because you think that's the only thing there is. There's many times I worked multiple jobs, and you know, in between jobs it was just to pull over for 5 minutes. You know, when you're going from one job straight to another job, and you're working two jobs, and you're doing this, and you're running 80-hour weeks because you can't get over 40 hours at one job, so you have to have two jobs to get 60-70 hours a week just to catch up your pay. Whatever it's doing, you need to know when you need to pull over for 5 minutes on the side of the road, pull over in a parking lot, pull over by the lake. You know, pull over for 5 minutes and just like decompress for a second, compose. You know, you have to have admiration for yourself. Sometimes you're not going to be happy with yourself. Sometimes you're going to carry burdens, but you don't want to wear your burdens. You don't want to wear misery going into that second job. So when you do all this stuff, you can't like carry the past with you. You gotta like let it go. Every morning you walk into a restaurant, every time you walk into a business, every time you walk into a factory, you have to like start over from scratch. And that was the biggest thing I learned in the factory. People would carry stuff in the next day, but from coming from a restaurant industry, it was great that I had learned these skills way ahead of my time in life. Didn't matter if I went from restaurant to lawn care to snow plowing to working on a dock in a marina, wet season, trimming a tree. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It's all about how you transition and how you treat yourself in that transition period. You know, so I didn't wear the things that bothered me and showed up to the next job wearing my misery of the day or wearing my success when that over. You know, it's one thing to be happy and have a smile, but it's another thing to be overly zealous and happy where the people that have been there all day are going to get pissed off because you came in like you had a great, wonderful day. And it's sad that it's that way, but it's the truth. Sometimes you got to like cloak yourself and like know when to mask things and just, hey, stay humble inside, stay happy inside, and not fully show everything that's going on. You know? And those are just adult decisions. That's decision making, not love, not fear. You know, you got to weigh all these pros and cons in life. You know, and I worked, I did what I loved though my whole time. I enjoyed the industry while I was part of the industry. Then I stepped away for times. I had times I stepped away from the industry for 3 months. I had times I stepped away for 6 months. I had times I stepped away for a year. And then I would always come back to like my passion, my craft, doing something. Somebody would call me up because, hey, they needed help. And then you pitch in. And then you just become somebody that's, you know, enjoyed being in the restaurant, but you can come in and give sound advice too. You know, so for my skills, my abilities, my talents, that's to provide light. You know, this is all about light working. This is all about, you know, you have to have God and faith, but then there's that spirituality side, which is completely different. You know, many of us, you know, going into a kitchen, that was our church. That was our Sunday. We were waiting for that church rush to get out from church and come in and eat. And we had our restaurant packed full of holy people, so we felt like we were as close to God as we could get because we had all those people coming from church. and we're serving them food. So that was, you know, as close as we could get as chefs sometimes to, and then wearing our coats, you know, on Sundays, I wear like my baby blues or my blues during the week and stuff, sometimes black, and rock my Johnny Cash. On the weekends, on Sundays, though, I'd wear red for my grandfather who passed away. I'd wear red to represent people that, you know, were coming in. Certain times, you know, you would throw on the purple and stuff for the purple hat ladies. You know, you flow with the people in your environment around you. You know, and that's just that talent, to provide that light, you know, to create a smile, because they're like, oh, look, we like that, right? You know what I mean? And they knew you worked hard. But then the people that work hard and can do it but still stay clean cut, still, like, you know, we're good with our knives, we do our jobs, but then you look to the next cook coming in, that's coming in for lunch, if you're working breakfast, or if you're working lunch and the dinner crew comes in, say, hey, what do you need me to do to help you catch up so you have a good, smooth night before I leave? Always offer that extra hand, you know. And sometimes, I know time, you know, kids, it's a strain and it's hard, but, you know, it's that working together, it's that teamwork, you know. That's just knowing, hey, we got to transition each other, we got to help each other out so we both have a job to come back to tomorrow. You know, our time was intentional. Like, everything we did was intentional in the kitchen. It served a purpose, you know. It served a purpose in the factory, making sure you stayed until that crate got done, making sure you got 9 crates on that dock for the next day, you know, making sure you got boxes unpacked so there's product on the shelf. So you want to serve with purpose. You always want to serve and serve with purpose, to leave a mark on this earth. You know, whether it's shoveling a driveway, cutting a lawn, putting shingles on a roof, you know, you want to leave that job knowing that you put everything you had into it, you did the best of your abilities, and nobody can down you for what you did. And that's a smile you give yourself when you leave. You know, that's that overwhelming, like, hey, I can go have a meal, and, you know, I put pure intention in everything I did, so when I sit down, no matter what it is, I can enjoy myself. You know, I can enjoy who I am, because I know that I went through the process myself. I put pure intention in everything that I was doing. Whether anyone saw it or not, you saw it in yourself. You know, to see the influence in silence, you know, hear the feedback from someone, that respect, you know, for your skill you performed, brought joy, the inspiration to continue to do it again. You know, community matters. So when you're putting joy and inspiration in your food, and cooking happiness, and cooking with happy thoughts, or working with happy thoughts, and shoveling with happy thoughts, and it doesn't matter if you're shoveling a pile of shit, if you're staying happy and positive things will come. If you're just pissed off and negative all day, you're frustrated and you're chasing your tail, it's going to affect you, and it's going to show throughout the community. It's going to show throughout every person you deal with. So every person in it mattered. It didn't matter, you know, who you get your product from. You know, supplies, wisdom, quality over quantity. You know, it was about the quality of the product. You know, what did somebody have to offer? I'd always hear what someone had to offer, because someone might have a better quality product coming up. It might take away business from the other person, but that lets that other person know that they need to step their quality of their product up. And it makes them come back and offer you maybe a different product or a different line that you weren't running before. So when it comes to somebody just trying to give you a good deal on something, no, that's not always good. Yeah, there are good deals, and that's great, but sometimes it's keeping that quality, so that way that quality will last. You know, quantity will fade, quality will last. You know, quantity will fade, quality will last. Sometimes having 10 good customers that are going to come in and they're going to spend the money for quality stuff is better than having 100 customers that are going to come in and buy little amounts because the quantity is low and the quality is low. So, like, they might come in and buy a bunch of the cheap stuff, but it's not really what's paying your bills. It's those 10 people coming in and actually spending the money and bringing their family or doing whatever, or that company that's buying 30 cases because they're going to stock up because they know they're going to go through it because they want that quality product on their shelf. No matter what, they're going to pay up right now to make sure that they have that quality in, or they got whatever coming through. So that 7-day work week, you know, it's a hard belief, the inner self-work to act outward in a person. You know, I invested in me to invest in others. You know, I'll say that again. I invested in me to invest in others. That's why I've done all this. That's why I'm doing these videos. I invested in myself, and I'm investing in this page so that way I invest in others so they can watch it and learn from it. You know, I learned the time may take longer to obtain potential growth. Not everything comes fast, and good quality things take time. If you want the quantity, you're going to get it fast, but you might not get that potential growth you want. If you put the quality in it, you learn it, you actually take the time to let things unfold, you might actually get what you want, and you might surprise the shit out of yourself. I learned by others limiting my success, by not giving up upon believing. You know, I had many people limit myself, try to limit me and put me in a box, and that wasn't the place for me. You know, I learned that, you know, if I can't have some form of expression, or if my voice doesn't mean nothing, or if my quality of work is going, if you're working quality but then somebody else is working on the other side and working against you, you know, and they don't want to change or adapt or meet you in the middle, it creates a hard, stable ground. You have to have stable footing. You have to be grounded. You have to know when to clean the slate, you know, clear everything and start fresh every day. You know, that I'm not the only one doing this is the biggest thing. You know, you're not the only one doing this. So dreaming big, but staying on a path, you know. So I worked and I worked. And, you know, as I worked, I learned there is no such failure if wisdom is gained, adaptation begins, the passion drives abilities. So your passion is always going to drive your abilities. You're always going to adapt, and you're never going to fail if you have the wisdom to want to learn, want to teach, want to grow. And you got to know how to balance that. And that's a tough thing when you're dealing with people's prides and egos. You know, again, too many chickens in the hen house. Whatever these phrases are, where it is, you're getting too many egos, too many prides in a small space. That can hurt a business. You know, so you got to be able to do it all over again and again to be better. You know, you have to try, practice perfect. You know, I would practice perfect when no one was around. I would spend hours practicing in my own kitchen, practicing when I was prepping, practicing when I was doing stuff, doing a walkthrough at night when I got done, doing a walkthrough every morning before I even opened up and served one person, making sure I had every plate where I needed, every spat where I needed, had backup spats behind me. You gotta practice perfect if you want to practice and see perfection. You have to be able to risk it. You have to risk the reward. Your perfected talents are on display in a moment. And, you know, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you can't predict when you got to put your talents on display. And if you have to be called out and put your talents on display, you want to be able to perfect your talents and do the best. That's why we have athletes. That's why we have football. That's why we have baseball. That's why you have gymnastics. You have all these different sports, but like they're athletes. They practice and practice and practice perfect. So when they have to put their talent on display, in that moment, they can be as perfect as they can be. And sometimes that's when the worst mistakes happen. And that's just part of life, man. So to control and adjust the outcomes not in your control is what that is. You know, when you can't help anything, but do the best you can. But sometimes you can't control everything. And you have to adjust to things, but to control and adjust the outcomes not in your control, you can't control it all. Like sometimes you're gonna break a foot, sometimes you're gonna cut your hand, sometimes you're gonna burn yourself, sometimes you're gonna smash your fingers, sometimes some bad shit happens, and that comes with that line of risk that you're doing, and that whatever the risk reward of that business is. But when you succeed or you fail, you see the fruits of your labor. You see how hard you work. Maybe you were pushing it. You learn your level on risk management of, hey, maybe I don't need to push as hard because I'm going to get hurt when I do this. You got to learn your own boundary lines, and that's self-boundary lines, and then the boundary lines of the company you work for. You know, the fruits of your labor, which is you, your crew, the impact created to last, to believe it could be done. You know, and then at the end, it's, hey, we did it. It's never you, it's we did it. You know, it's the collective. It's about the collective. That's why I do this stuff. It's about France, Germany, England, you know, being here in America with English people, you know, wherever you are, it's about the collective. It doesn't matter who you are, what job line you're working in. You know, you want to look around and enjoy what you did with people. You know, and you have to hope that they see they are capable, and that what's going on, they're inspired to continue on that path with you, and continue to do it every day, and come back in the next day and do it again and help you out. And you have to realize when people need breaks. You know, some days the pride to walk into a losing situation, that's where your pride matters the most. You know, when you know that you're up against, like, everybody's called off, or you're walking in, you're shorthanded, you're walking in, you got to jam out a bunch of product in the factory, you're an engineer and you're coming in and all the machines are broke, you're walking into a losing fucking situation. But your pride makes you walk through those doors, and you do it no matter what. You know, it's that reverse engineering process, you know, to leave a positive when you left. Always leave a place better than you came in. You know, fucking bees. So, it's a positive, thriving outcome. You know, it's your wisdom, you know, from failure. You know, it's taking the failure and turning it into a positive. You know, that made me the most successful in life. You know, pain is temporary, my pride is forever. It's my legacy. It's seeing the work. It's just believing in the work that I do, that creation of life. So as you create that process, you know, I enjoyed it very much in my life, being in the industry. It also took a lot of time away from me and my family, and I lost a lot of time with my kids, and that was a sacrifice that came with just being American and being in where we are and working hard and doing what we do. So it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that you become grateful for when you work hard. So, you know, this is America. We need to get back to work, everybody. Hope everybody has a good day. Hope everybody can come out no matter what country you're in, what line of work you're doing. You know, just work hard for what you got. All right? Everybody have a good day.